you believe I have never done an Alex Phillips video? I actually had one in the pipeline quite a while back, but I never got it edited and put out in time, unfortunately. Yeah, so there's no point really putting that up now. It's several months old. But since I'm doing the 12 issues of Christmas, this one popped up. Alex Phillips, we really need to talk about conversion therapy. Every time I've watched one of Alex Phillips's videos that start with this, we really need to talk about, and then the issue, it's always quite cringy. And it comes across very much like a primary school teacher at an assembly, if you know what I mean. It's always dumbed down, substanceless claims, usually, with like vague moral guidance. Let's just get into it. So she wants to talk about conversion therapy, which is, let's just call it what it is. It's a disgusting thing, conversion therapy, where you are taking someone's... It's always people who say, like, trans people are obsessed with gender, and then they are very much, what, you're gay? Well, we'll see about that. Electric shocks. Zzz. Conversion therapy is a horrible medieval practice that's been left over to today and applied to homosexuals. Sometimes ones that are doing it willingly as well, which is quite tragic. So let's just get into it. What does she have to say about conversion therapy? Because she's on GB News, I'm fearing the worst, but let's see if she's any kind of progressive when it comes to it.
Now, unless you are a medieval brute or ardent religious fanatic, you probably wholly agree that gay conversion therapy was a whole world of wrong.
Oh,
gay
good.
people being
Good
encouraged
start.
to self-flagellate, agreeing to be tortured, even raped, often drugged, and performing superstitious exorcism-like rituals is the stuff of witchcraft, not modern medicine in a tolerant society. And so, we should all applaud the government's enthusiasm to rush through legislation outlawing the barbaric practice. Or should we?
I was literally about getting ready to pause it on the first break to say, well, so far it sounds good. And now, or should we? What? Hang on, you've just outlined why it's a bad thing, and then you're like, oh, it's great that they're going to ban it. Or is it great? I don't understand. Oh, where's this going to go? I'm scared.
Because the government have apparently become so eager to wokely appease the new bête noire of a truly tolerant society in the form of Stonewall, the once pioneering organisation for gay equality that has latterly become the blinkered blight on long-held women's rights, that it has foolhardily slashed legal consultation time for a slate of new laws from a full 12 weeks to just forcing what may turn out to be critical small print to be swept along with the rising tide of vacuous virtue signalling.
What did any of that mean? Can someone answer me that? Like, what did any of that mean? Like, I have an idea about what she might be getting to, but most of that was just absolute nonsense. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Oh.
So much of this slapdash policy seems to do. But this time, it's tragically serious. Because the new legislation also includes valid treatment of the 21st century's trendiest condition, body dysphoria. Why does this matter? Well, unlike permitting perverse quack therapies that purport to somehow make homosexual people straight, the treatment for patients presenting with questions about their gender identity is, quite rightly, initiated psychologically, given that the matter is entirely a mental one. The NHS already mandates that anybody who questions their sex should be automatically affirmed and encouraged to begin the pathway to transition rather than undergo counselling to explore the psychological landscape and seek to reverse it.
Right, is she actually about to make the argument that allowing treatment for gender dysphoria or gender euphoria, as I've recently found out, is actually the main cause of gender transitioning, not dysphoria. We may talk about that another time. But she is actually about to say that allowing people access to this sort of treatment is equivalent to gay conversion therapy. Is she actually about to say this? So what it sounds like she's about to make the claim of is, and I might be wrong, we've still got more video to watch, that when sort of traditional right-wing religious crazies saw a homosexual young person in their family and immediately went, we need to take you to a therapist to convert your thoughts and get you to not treat yourself as a gay person, which you are, but not to be straight, to pretend to be something else. Is she about to say that is the same, right, of someone no longer identifying with their biological sex corresponding gender and actually want to become non-binary or transgender, that the therapy involved in that, or the medical treatment involved in that, is the same as gay therapy? Is that the claim she's making? To be honest, even me just saying that out loud, it sounds nonsensical. Like, I don't know how you make a connection. Like, is there something like, oh, well, gay conversion therapy is taking what you naturally are and trying to make science change it for you, and that's wrong? Is it trying to say that's the same as what transgender people do, where if they're, say, a man, but they want to become a woman, then they have to go through scientific procedure to change what they are? That's fucking stupid. But I think that's what she's about to claim, you know. So, you know what this makes this? This makes this conversion therapy talk a Trojan horse to just take a shot on trans rights. Of course. Because that's what they do now. When they're losing a battle, they have to pretend to adopt a little bit of progressivism. In this case, to not hate homosexuals, like probably really does, and use that as a way to sneak in, oh, well, we're in favour of this right. Or do you not think the trans one's gone too far, though? Fucking bellends, man.
But if this becomes enshrined in law, any therapist who wishes to assist a patient with counselling to treat their dysphoria with the end goal of being at ease with their sex at birth could be accused of committing a crime. Yep. Now add that into a context where, despite historically the incidence...
Yeah, good, that's malpractice. That's his extending usual malpractice laws, isn't it, for therapy? Like, I'm pretty sure it would be the same way as if you went to a therapist saying you were having, like, suicidal thoughts, and they went, oh, no, you don't, you're fine. No, you don't, you're fine, no, you're fine, just leave, just don't commit suicide. I'm sure that would also be seen as, like, pretty bad therapy, because normally you'd take the word for it that they're feeling suicidal and you treat them for that. So when someone comes to you with gender dysphoria or gender euphoria, whatever, you help them based on the reasons they came to see you in the first place. That's kind of to be expected. I thought it was to be expected, but no, apparently that's a bad thing. Strange. I don't know. It's a bit of a reach, this, isn't it, I think?
Of gender dysphoria is 3 times more prevalent among men than women, an astronomical spike in online encouragement of young women to bind their breasts, reject their gender, and solve their problems by physically transitioning to become male means that a worldwide phenomenon has very recently occurred, where 3/4 of patients presenting with rapid onset dysphoria or a sudden conviction that you're in the wrong body are now girls. Without being able to psychologically treat the condition, which often comes with a tapestry of other concerns from anxiety and depression, autism to self-harm, patients who say, I think I was born the wrong gender, will only be allowed treatment that essentially affirms this belief and starts them on an irreversible pathway to cutting off their breasts, breaking.
Well, couple of things. Gender dysphoria, I may as well reveal it now, since I teased it. I've recently found out, because, this whole trans thing is still in its infancy, and we're still finding out a lot more. I've recently found out that the main cause of sort of gender transitioning is not gender dysphoria, as I've previously been led to believe. I've previously been led to believe that the majority of people who transition is because of gender dysphoria, a feeling of dissatisfaction in the gender they're born in, basically. What it turns out is that's wrong. The majority of people who go through gender reassignment don't suffer from gender dysphoria. They have gender euphoria, which means the gender in which they express themselves as, so if they are born female but they start to express themselves as a male or as non-binary or whatever, that is, when they do that, that results in them feeling more euphoric. They're happier, they're more satisfied with their lives. They might even be more productive, have more energy. But otherwise, they're just happier as that new gender they're associating themselves with, that they're identifying as. That really kicks down the narrative that it's all about mental illness, that maybe it's just depressed kids who don't have much in their life, but they're seeing their mates also being trans in a world where this happens, and they go, oh, that's cool, and it gets some loads of attention. I'm going to do that too, which is the old conservative narrative. But it's bits in the face of that, because it actually turns out the real narrative is when you actually think about yourself and your own personality and not what society has dictated to you already, when you think about what you personally want and how you personally like to express yourself, and you go ahead and do that, you get happier. You feel more satisfied with life because you're no longer hiding part of yourself. You're no longer forcing yourself to do or behave a certain way because society tells you to do it. And funny that, isn't it? And that makes absolute sense to me, and it should make sense for everyone who's not an arsehole, to be honest. But either way, even with that aside, this idea that you just go to a doctor and the doctor goes, oh, you want to be a man, do you? Oh, well, I'll chop your tits off. Get out the garden shears. Yeah, it doesn't fucking happen. It doesn't work like that. Before surgery even happens, you go through hormone therapy for a start, and hormone therapy is reversible. Basically, that just holds off puberty for a bit. And then when you stop taking those hormones, your body readjusts and starts puberty late. So those things are absolutely reversible. And moreover, they've not really been seen to do any harm. So then we come to what this person's sort of wider motivations are, and it is just to push this narrative of, oh, this society wants all your children to become trans. Be very afraid. No, fucking stupid. How about you let kids make their own fucking decisions? We've been over this. Stop prescribing things to children. If a child comes forward and says, I don't want to associate with this gender, it's not me, then why don't you just fucking believe them? How about that? I know, a mad idea, isn't it?
Their voice, developing permanent body hair, and likely rendering themselves infertile. While there are many patients for
not true at all, that.
whom transition may be the answer, when treated psychologically, a staggering 80% of those with dysphoria will come to terms with their natal sex without having to resort to major and permanent, dangerous and invasive surgical procedures to treat what is a mental and not physical condition. It seems to...
last bit's not true either, but either way, then what's changed? Nothing. If you're saying people are putting laws, by the way, if it's Tory government, the laws won't be that good. if you're saying people put forward laws to make the transition easier for those that want it, then good. How will that affect those that will, in the initial point of gender reassignment, go, actually, I've decided I'm okay with it, I won't go any further? How would it affect them? Because once again, it's not just, all right, you sit on that chair, we're going to stitch up your vagina, we're going to inject loads of testosterone in you, and it's permanent, by the way. You're going to immediately grow hair on your on your armpits, your hair, and your arms, and that whole line she said about permanent body hair. I don't know. It's what kind of hair? This is not going to be your hair, for example. Just random ginger hair start coming out. But I'm not ginger. I don't understand where she's getting this from. It's fucking stupid.
To me, we are pushing vulnerable girls to the brink of sanity, where culture and society forces them to question their developing bodies. But in an increasingly sexualized and misogynistic world, reinforces that it is far better to be a man, while then yanking away the only lifeline they had to getting the help they really need. By instead pushing them in the direction of permanently becoming men. No, it's not a sick dystopian dream. This is modern Britain. And decisions the government makes right now could condemn a whole cohort of young people to a life of suffering. As the consultation on the conversion therapy ban comes to a close in a matter of days, today, we really need to talk about conversion therapy.
Well, if you need to talk about conversion therapy, why didn't you just talk about it? Because you barely said anything about it. There's no link there between, the banning conversion therapy, that's good. But you know what's not good? The fact that we're making it easier for people to transition if they want to. That's shocking, that. What she's basically done there is gone, well, I'm against gay conversion therapy, but I'm in favour of trans conversion therapy. Fucking dumb. It's just like Jordan Peterson earlier in my last video, said absolutely nothing there. There's a whole bunch of nonsense, no coherency to it, just absolute bottlenecked crazy, just in one video. And once again, people will listen to that and fall for it. Naturally. Of course they will.